Friday, or should I call it the Salah edition of Galaxy today? And of course, we didn't say Happy New Month to our viewers. So Happy New Month is the month of September. The very first day is a very significant day, very, very important day, I dare say. All right, and speaking of importance, we also have guests who are quite important when you talk music and filmmaking in Nigeria. One of them is a man that I've known ever since I came into broadcast. His name reoccurs, especially when you talk about filmmaking in Nigeria. He's a veteran filmmaker, and recently at the National Arts Theatre in Igomo, he put together a particular event that has been like the talk of town for a bit now. It's called the Movie and Music Hall of Fame. I think this is a first for us in Nigeria. I've never heard about a Hall of Fame for music or movies in Nigeria. Late. Yes, yes, we are actually way, way, way behind in that regard. It's a pleasure to have Chief Eddie Ogboma joining us on the program this morning. Good morning, sir.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Chief. Thank you.
And we have the Secretary General of the same Movie and Music Hall of Fame with us here in the person of Mr. Foster Ojehomo. Good morning, Mr. Foster.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thanks for being with us.
All right, Mr. Chief Ogboma, it's been a while, a long while. You seem to shy away from publicity or the public. You know,
well, I've done enough for the industry, so I'll let the kids take over. Unfortunately, you know, it's not as smooth as I was expecting it, you know. It's been, to me, right now the industry is in a coma, an embarrassing situation, but what do you do? We keep tagging on, we keep trying and trying. It's like you said, they've never had a Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That's a shame to the country, because if it was there, you will know about it in broadcasting. I set up the Movie and Music Makers Hall of Fame after several visits to the States, to UK and Europe and other civilized countries. I found they have Hall of Fame for their boxers, basketball players, actors, producers, writers, script writers, broadcasters.
For virtually any celebrity.
Anything.
Yeah.
But we don't have any in Nigeria.
Yeah.
All we have are just galleries where they put X head of seats. I saw, there's one gallery I saw, they had Wole Soyinka, Chinua Achebe, and Ogunde, you know, representing the arts. Then they made a comment, Wole Soyinka made a comment next to the Yankees photograph of the gallery. I just had a good laugh. You know, so the Hall of Fame is actually legally registered with CAC as an NGO to have galleries, interviews of those who have served this country in movies and music. Like today, none of these young boys who compose music in their bathroom, you know, and carry a red cup, you know, with their
yes, the very vivid red cup.
Three-quarters of the girls, you know, in their bird suit. They don't know who is Isha Renzi. They don't know who's Roy Chicago. They don't know who's Dio Kunta. They don't know, well, Fatai Roland that just died. They don't know Tunde Nightingale. They don't know Haruna Shola. You know, so it makes me laugh. Because if we created this Hall of Fame with the interviews of these people there in the Hall of Fame, the kids will go there to learn. I grew up with high life. I remember my days, we used to come from Balende and trek all the way to Yaba to dance to Chief Bill Friday's high life band. When Joe Mensa took up the mic and said, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for high life. It's 5 hours non-stop. And that's what we grew up with. But today, what they grew up with, they grew up with American imitation, which is the power of American communication. That's how they swallow the whole world. Because what's America today? It's communication. That's why everybody, all the young men, man, I want to go, man, I want to, man. You know, so that is why we have to set up the Hall of Fame, which is almost 50 years late. But they say better late than never.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Foster, let us bring you into this conversation. Now, our Chief just rightly pointed out that we are coming 50 years behind. So a lot of our people or budding artists these days might not really know the founding fathers of the nation's music industry, even the movies as it is now. So in what way would the Hall of Fame go about propagating this message of celebrating our heroes of music and movies.
Have you played the recording of your men? They were there. They covered the whole story.
Yes, we were there, yeah.
So the Hall of Fame is like an information, educative, entertaining center where you go there, you see the picture of Steve Ojo and the history of how he came to this industry. So all you have to do is get the discs or the tape, put it there, put it in your head, and listen to
just listen.
So it's a historical center.
Okay.
You know, it's a very entertaining center. It's an information center, which is not existing in the country. Because today, if you watch one of these artists steal old music and jazz it up, it makes a better hit. So that's the place you go. You can hear Shino Peter tell you that he ran away from home at the age of 9 to go out to play music so he can make money. So it's an essential place which I've been pleading seriously, begging, crawling to the past 6 ministers of information and culture, to governors, you know, and all they make, oh, don't worry with me, Chief Uboma will say, I'm 77 December, very old.
All right, so basically, this is more like a compendium, you know, of history.
Sure.
Yes, it's supposed to be a center where you can walk in and you get resource of people who have lived. Some of them are dead, some are still alive, where you can get a history of everybody who has actually worked in the arts of making music and movies. Chief Eddie Uboma has been making movies since the 70s. Thank God he's still around and he's still talking about what we should be doing now, and he's still trying to chart the way forward for some of us in the industry. As it is now, it is, like he said, it's 50 years late. For you to be in the Hall of Fame, you must have practiced for at least 25 years. This is the second edition. The first one was done about 10 years ago. So we are thinking of having a structure where people can walk into, especially the young musicians, the young movie makers can walk into, read about some of our old ancestors, so to, because they actually
legends.
Legends of the industry, what they have done, their works, how they went about their works, and it will help them even in developing themselves, especially the young ones. Now we see a lot of musicians who are coming up with good hits, but really, if you look deep down, they don't even have a band. If you call some of them, they don't have a band. But if you go to the past, you discover that some of these high life musicians all had bands. So when you invite them for productions, for shows, they come with their band and they give you good music. You are missing that. Most of them don't understand what it is to do stage productions, to actually perform on stage. What they do is just jump around the stage, and it's getting boring. People want to see musicians really perform. You want to see actors really perform. You want to see what they did, how they went about doing what they did, their history. We don't have that. So all this will be the Hall of Fame is a compendium of resources, of men and women who have lived and who are still living and who are doing great works.
Okay, so ideally now, is there a particular place in mind or a particular location? Are we looking at them localizing it somewhere in Lagos or Abuja? What's the plan, really?
The plan, thank you for asking that question. The plan right now is that I'm expecting with an appeal to the governor of Lagos, because he is now one of the patrons and fellows of the Hall of Fame. We've discussed this for, severally, that they were keen, they were interested. They even came to my house, interviewed me. They saw the portraits. It's the portrait that matters, the portraits at the interview. We have framed portraits of all the inductees and those that have not been inducted yet. And then we've interviewed about 152 of them, 25 minutes interview, and the clips of their works.
Wow.
It's a lot of job. I've spent, give and take, for the past 14 years, I've spent over 100 million of my own money.
Putting this together.
Putting all this together, going all over the country, or I take, for instance, now, I've been finding very hard to have anything about Balamila. His portrait is there, but nothing about him.
Nothing.
Unless it's music. And, nobody can follow up because they didn't record him down.
Exactly.
Because when I do research, I look for research of what have been recorded down so I can add to my own. But I've been spending money. Imagine flying with a crew from here to Abuja, to Kano, to Kaduna, to Enugu. It's not been easy. I know, maybe I'm sick in the head. Maybe I'm mad.
No, you're not.
To have been sinking millions.
You're not. You've just taken it upon yourself, you know, to fill a vacuum, you know, that's been there for years.
Yeah, but these people in power and government, they're evil servants. You know, they're evil servants that works with them.
But we need to find a way to bring the government into this, because when you go about a mission such as this, where you're documenting history, it's not something you can easily do out of pocket, if you know what I mean. Sure, the government has to be a part of this.
Because they think of national interest.
And it's another headache which I had, that is everybody's headache. I lost over 1,800,000 naira to 1 billion of my movies because they're on celluloid and there's no lights to keep them in the aircon.
Yes.
All those I've lost. So there's no place I can go back to show my films, or for stations it's all right. We want all your old films and have the old school channel, like what I'm planning to do. Let the TV stations buy those interviews and have an old school thing. But unfortunately, more 80% of Nigerian television, if not all of them, can hardly afford to survive with this diesel. You know how much diesel is, and you have to burn it 24/7. So everything is so hard on them. But the people don't know the power of these stations. They educate people. I'm sure this Galaxy, I don't want to praise you. It's being watched with about 10 million Nigerians every day, all over the country, right? But you find it very hard to commission programs. You have it very hard to even buy programs because all your money is going on diesel. You know, and
That's right.
I know the headache because I happen to know Steve very well. I know Dr. C. I know John Momo. I know Ben Bruce. I know all the owners of the TV stations. I know the agony you're going through.
Okay.
But there are multinationals who are stinkingly rich that could have done this, like the position we are getting to now. They've been pestering the General Secretary. Ford Foundation, UNESCO, Ted Turner, the Gillette people want to buy this Hall of Fame and disgrace my country. Like what the Germans did about 5 years ago. They came to Nigeria to study high life. And they got all the high life musicians together, study high life. So maybe next 20 years, you have to go to Germany to study high life. Come on.
So when people write our history for us, they say it from their own point of view.
Perspective, that's true.
And that's actually the bane of history in Nigeria. People, when the foreigners come in, they see it from where they see it. Now we have opportunities to tell our stories. Thank God for Nollywood. We're telling our stories, not the kind of story we should tell, but we are telling our stories. And if we have been doing this and documenting some of all these things over the years, it's easy for anybody from the United States, from the UK to come in to learn and have resource. And that's what this gallery is all about. That's what the Hall of Fame is all about. Come and see what we are doing, what is there, not what you think,
Should be
not the kind of research you're going to make that is skewed. Come and see what we have done. You go into the gallery, you see all these things, you see the resource there, then you won't have any reason to come adulterate it.
Okay, as a follow-up to that, now Chief just talked about Germany buying into high life and making it theirs per se. Now, how do we take this step further aside from the Hall of Fame? How do we inculcate all of this into maybe our history, teaching of histories in schools? In schools, academically.
Where is history now? Where's history today in Nigerian schools?
That's the thing.
They've killed it.
Even in theater arts.
Let me tell you what makes me laugh a lot. I don't know what people are afraid of history for. It's not a crime for your mother or your father to be a fisherman and become a president. It's an achievement. It's not a crime for your father to be a cattle rearer and you end up as a president. So what are they hiding? What are they hiding? And that's why you find out Nigerians can tell you history of Michael Jackson. They can't tell about Sonia Ade. They can tell you the story of other artists. I've been fighting this fight since 1966 as a little boy. When an American came to Nigeria before pre-independence, 1959, at Glover Memorial Hall, and he was asked to come and launch his film, Ben Hur. The man's name is Charlton Hastings. What did Ben Hur do? He stood up to say it's a shame that a country like Nigeria don't have a movie industry. to make their own film. I shouted as a little boy from top of the wall, Oyibo, you never come back to Nigeria again to talk about film. I'll be a filmmaker. Bam, since that day, it's talk. That I found out the power of movies. Watch John Wayne. He'll have a 6-shooter bullet gun. But since yesterday, it's clear on Indian, the same gun, bam, bam, bam. That's the power of movie. That's propaganda of movie. Watch American films. They give them warships. All the plane will fly, tumble, and, they give their producers guns. They give them ships. They give them police. They give them everything to use movies to image the country, to advertise the country.
That's right.
But here, if you want to use a police, you have to pay 100,000 naira. And then when Sulere police gives you permission and you happen to shoot across to Yaba, they will arrest you. And they wouldn't respect that permit unless you come and settle their own. Or you want to use the army, they say go and improvise.
Wow. Many impediments.
They give. Now look at the moment now. When you shoot a film in the street, the area boys disturb you.
Yeah.
Even though you got the permission, because I'm asking to go and get the permission from the Lagos State Film and Video Censors Board. Get a permit, and they will give you a police to follow you, because they break so much of your. I remember we were shooting a film at Lekki, very near one of the supermarket there. These two talk just came in. A Nigerian living in Washington came to Nigeria to sponsor a film. When he was asking what's going on, this boy just slapped him hard. Do you think that man will come back to Nigeria again to shoot a film? So they don't know the value. They don't know the power. If they know the value and the power of this industry, it's bigger than oil. It feeds people more than oil. Oil can only employ 5 people in the rig to deal oil. Oil don't give jobs. It's money it makes, but movies and music makes money and makes job and makes people happy. And when people are frustrated, like now, they talk about recession, they took on the television. You go to watch this comedian. You watch good movies to calm yourself out. Doctors, after doing operation, must go home to watch a TV station, must go home to play music. So I'm asking government. I am 77 this December. I'm very old. I'm just thanking God. Now, when I hand over to Foster and my kids, I want to make sure this thing continues, because I can brag it today that I am one of those who opened the road for people to talk about movie industry, music industry. Because in 1966, I was just a little boy when I brought Millie Small, who sang My Boy Lollipop, to stop the white invasion of our kids. People were talking about Cliff Richard and the Shadows, this and that, all white artists. I came in from America on holidays. I saw this. I went back. I started promoting black artists to Nigeria. Chubby Checker, I brought to Nigeria. James Brown, I brought to Nigeria. Danny Williams, Millie Small, the Soul Messengers, the Gas, name it. I brought in 7 big black groups. Then in my club, when I grew up, my club in London, that's where all these Nigerian artists perform, because they don't have any place to perform than 6 to 10 in a hall. So they come to perform all night in my club, the only club in the whole of Britain that gives the black people an opportunity to perform. So I don't know. I made my tribes my headache, because I'm neither Igbo nor Yoruba nor Hausa. I'm a Nigerian, but I know what I'm suffering. Can you believe it that movie Nollywood has lasted almost 25, 27 years now? No Igbo or Yoruba or Hausa producer has ever given me pain to make a film. All they do is to envy me because I do things like this with my own money. I know many generals, many ministers, but none of them can come to me and say, I gave Eddie contract. No. I know it's a head of state. When I criticized Nigeria, gave me a job in NTA. He said, Eddie, what job do you want there? You're qualified. I said, I don't want to work for the army. I know a premier in Western region. I went on holiday with his children. He said, Eddie, come on, say, she was I told him, I want to be free. I went to my own state. So.
All right. Yeah. All right, Chief Uboma, this issue of.
Hope I'm not boring you.
No, you're not.
You're making lots of sense.
You're not.
Yeah.
It just struck me that, for a very long time, if I recall correctly, we've been talking about this lack of structure, in both the music and the movie industry. What really would it take, for us to be able to put in place this structure, that will give us a proper representation,
No, they're there. People probably just look down, just don't want to know.
They don't want to.
What they do in government is to get Steve and Michael fighting, and they're busy collecting subvention. because there are prosecutors today that their job is to protect the movie and the film and the music in this country. But all what they do is to get the president of this association, is to get them. When they're busy fighting, they're busy chopping the money. And next year they put the higher money for the supervising. Because what is NFC, Nigerian Film Corporation, what's the setup for? What's the setup for? It's to protect. Look at last 2 weeks. You know, the executive director of the Video and Film Censor Board, through the Association of Film and Videos Producers. We did a big raid for the first time, 5 years. All the parasitals, MD, were afraid to go to al-Adha. We went to al-Adha and seized 50 million worth of stolen, pirated films. Yes. Then 180 million worth of duplicating machine.
Wow.
It took guts.
Wow.
But we got them. And the ED is taking them to Abuja because they were trying to kill the case here in Lagos. So the 3 men were taken to Abuja. Do you know these pirates have a hotel in Lagos? What about a hospital in Lagos? And the filmmakers are tracked now. If I want to go to Delta now, I have to go to bus stop at Duke Boma to join a 3,000 car and see the pirates passing with jeep. One name okay, Malam, Kano. They will just pass with PM. The pirates and make it rich.
Okay. Let's talk about, just finally, let us talk about standards. You talked about how you lost millions of naira through some of your films that got wasted as it is.
Yeah,
you know,
because you have to have them in aircon.
Yes. So how do we begin to make sure that we can have like posterity for our materials, our content here in Nigeria?
How does TV station keep alive? You just have to bear across. Because people who don't know the value of this industry, what I'm talking about broadcast as a whole, film and television, they don't know their value, the power, the imaging of that nation. They don't care. And unfortunately, they're the one in power. You know, those days, if you can remember, that's before your time. If you say you're a musician, say, Olushi, go local way. I remember when I came back from London, my mother was organizing a welcome party for me. We were in the corner waiting for chairs. My mother and I were waiting for chairs in the corner. And then a lady saw me and my mother. He said, please, I'm looking for Agnes' house. He said, which Agnes? He said, the one the son went to overseas to go and study. Thank you. When others are doing law and medicine, and he went to do thank you. So my mother was going to rush. I said, no, leave her. She came there at night. She was taking the meat from her plate and hiding it and everything. I was watching about 1 a.m. when I know she can't go, I stop everybody. I said, Madam, that's thank you meeting. Meat, you're hiding on your drink. So this is how they look down on this industry. But today, who are driving Lamborghini is the musicians. Who are those driving the jeeps? The musicians, movie makers. You know, so it's a pity. I pity the country because I've tried to reprint those my films with the modern day technique. They were asking about $2,000 each. So 13 of them is about $26,000.
Wow.
And that's no money. Because I'm talking about my tribe. If I was an Igbo or Yoruba house, I would have been given the money because I know Yoruba boy that Lagos State gave money to go and print his father's film. All of us were in the same situation. He took it home. He took it to America. They imaged it, they call color correction and recruited. You know, so I don't know. I pity Nigeria.
Okay, all right. Because of our time, let's move it on quickly. Now, finally, sir, on the Movie and Music Makers Hall of Fame, what is the plan? Is it going to be an annual thing? Are you going to be inducted annually? What's the plan, really?
You don't do Hall of Fame annually.
Okay.
It's not a simple thing. It's a very serious position. It's an achievement for any musician, any filmmaker, scriptwriter, or dancer, or actor to get to the Hall of Fame. So it's done every 10 years.
Every 10 years?
Yeah. Okay. But we're in a trouble right now. The one we did last, the rain and thunder stopped some of the people from flying in from Port Harcourt, and then 12 of our members went to Mecca. You know, so they're now saying, look, in 2027, we don't know whether we'll be alive. Please, Chief, can you do it again so let us get our award and be in the Hall of Fame? So we're thinking about that. If the secretary can work, because I'm getting tired. If he can run around to write letters, which are hardly, because people don't know that Wole Soyinka made two good films. Do you know that Wole Soyinka made 2 films?
Well, I know about his stage plays. I know about all of the stage plays. It was like a full-length movie. I don't know about that.
He made 2. Don Congi's Harvest. was his movie.
Wow.
And a man of a songbird, his movie. But it's that Hall of Fame, his picture is there, his history is there. But because of Nigerian weather, those films have messed up. And then most of the studio we have are negatives, have closed down. Everybody's gone video. You know, video has got cameras that are as good as celluloid and results. You know, though unfortunately you have a cameraman in Nigeria who call themselves DP, director of photography. They're cameramen.
Okay.
They're not director of photography. They're cameramen. Because if you watch in a good movie, the director and the DP work together. It means director of photography. He set the place for the lights and everything. He makes sure he checks the camera. Then he calls the director to look at the lens and to look at the thing and see whether that's what he wants. But you find a Nigerian boy who doesn't know anything that zoom in, zoom out. Look, to have a camera, in those big old days, you have a cameraman, camera operator, focus puller, then the gaffer, on one camera. But today with the red camera, it's just as little as that. And one man can take over. But does he know what he's taking over? Those cameras could do a lot of things. You see, movie doesn't mean when you spend 500 million only.
On it.
No, you can spend, he can spend 500 million. I spend 10 million. I'm bringing a better story. If there's content, not the film you put on a Nigerian movie before you hear cram. You know the beginning, you know already. Switch off. So they too have to do better.
I wish we had more time. I wish we had more time.
Yeah, you had enough. You had enough. You had enough. You had enough.
All right.
You had enough.
It's always an exciting time. Every time. This is the second time I've had the privilege to talk with you, Chief Uboma, and every single time you have brought a new angle, a fresh angle. Thank you indeed, sir, for coming on the show. And then the good work you're doing might look like people don't know it, but trust me, people do know.
You are appreciated, really.
Yes. We really appreciate you for it.
Thank you so much, Chief.
It's a pleasure.
All right. Thank you too, Mr. Foster.
Thank you very much.
All right, we've had Chief Eddie Uboma, who is the chairman for the Movie and Music Makers Hall of Fame. He's been here talking about it, plus other issues within the arts industry, and also the Secretary General of the same group, Mr. Foster Johomo. Thank you, sir, for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, still to come, we have Azizat, the Queen of Love. She'll be telling us
About
what
No
the
Music
importance
Day.
of today is, the World No Music Day. We'll be right back after
Yes,
this.
I will just take this quick break and see what